If you want some FIFA 23 coins, please check out MMOXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're fast, cheap and reliable, and if you use code Rema you can get yourself a 5% discount. So what's up guys, my name's Ash and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video guys, we've got some custom tactics and player instructions for a formation you don't see all that often in FIFA 23. It's the 4-5-1 formation. Now the reason I've gone out of my way to do this is because if you play this game for a long amount of time, it gets stale, it gets boring because you see the same things all the time. The 4-2-3-1, the 4-2-2-2, and pretty much everything you see plays out the same because everyone wants to abide to this meta. So I've gone out of my way to try something different, something you don't see all that often. So you guys might like this or you might not, but all I ask is that you give it a go and try something different because this game desperately needs variation. So that's why we've gone for the 4-5-1 today. Just before we get into today's video though guys, I'd very much appreciate it if you guys could drop this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the YouTube algorithm. Also subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one, and don't forget to turn on those notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside guys, let's get right into today's video. Okay guys, so starting off with the custom tactics for the defensive style, it's the same as what I use for a lot of formations, and we used balance. Now the reason we use balance is because it allows us to press when we want to press manually, and it allows us to be more conservative when we need to be. So it does give you greater control in the defense. There's not too much to it, but if you want to use pressure tactics, that's completely fine. But I do suggest being able to master the balanced defensive style, as it does make you a better player as a result because you're actually actively defending. Now moving on to the defensive width, we have this on 42. Now the reason we have it on 42 is because people like to attack in a very narrow manner on this game, so it's important we do cover the central areas when we are defending. So having the width on 42 allows you to primarily defend narrowly, so if people go through the middle you have all those areas covered, but we also have that bit of natural width when we are defending, so if somebody does go down the wing we are also able to cover those areas. So it is great for balance, and it's important you don't have your width too low. Let's say have it on like 30, because if you look at the diagram you can see if an opponent plays a ball down the wing you're pretty much screwed because they have so much space. You can see our defense is very bunched up, but if we put this up to about 42 you can see the fullbacks are pretty much on the very corners of the penalty box, which is a good sign that you have a decent width in your defense guys. Now moving on to depth, I have this on 55. The reason for this is I like to press quite high up the pitch on occasion so I can nick the ball back and start a quick counter attack, which is going to be important for what you guys will see later. So having the depth on 55 allows you to press quite high up the pitch, but it's also not super high to the point where one through ball will kill you every time. So having it on 55 allows you to apply a bit of pressure, but it's also not super high to the point where through balls will destroy you at the same time. If you want to lower your depth or up it, that's fine, but I found a good balance in having it on 55. Okay guys, so moving on to build-up play, I've actually gone for something a little bit different. We've gone for fast build-up. Now the reason we've gone for this is because a lot of people on this game like to play quite slowly, and that's due to the game mechanics, it's due to what's effective. So it's actually quite effective to just slow down, do one driven pass and that be that. So we've gone for something different in hopes of catching out your opponent a little bit. We've gone for fast build-up, so your team makes runs faster. They move around a lot more when you are building up, and you are able to string together a lot more passes. Now for opponents that play this game a lot, it's going to take them by surprise because they're used to these slower play styles where you slow the ball down, you make one driven pass, you do all these ISO plays and whatnot, so it does catch them out, which is why we've gone for it. Now moving on to the chance creation guys, we have to use direct passing. This is something you just have to use unfortunately on the new gen versions of the game. The reason being is if you look at the diagram in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you can see this is the setting which makes your attackers move in a dynamic motion. They move to penetrate the defensive line, which doesn't happen if you look at something like balance. Your attackers are very static and they don't move around all that much, so when your opponent is being defensive and parking the bus, it's very difficult to break them down on balanced. So if you are on the new gen version of the game, I suggest direct passing, but if you are on old gen you can get away with using balanced. Now, moving on to attacking width, guys, because this is a wider formation by default with the left mid and right mid, we don't want the width to be too low, otherwise the formation will fall apart. So I've gone for 47 width as it is 5 above my defensive width. So the main concept here is that we'll defend narrow and then we have a bit of a natural transition where the team will attack a little bit wider. We don't want to attack too wide because that's not what we're going to be going for with this formation as such. You'll understand when we get to the instructions. So we've gone for 47, so we attack a bit wider than we defend, but we're also able to make those narrow attacks as well. Now, moving on to the players in box, guys, I like to have this on 5. The reason for this is a lot of people go for counter attacks in this game as the primary way to score. So it's important you don't overcommit your team into the penalty box when you are attacking, otherwise your opponent will get a lot of easy goals. So by having this on 5, you do get some players into the box, but if you lose the ball, it's not game over as such because you've still got some players sitting out able to defend it. Now, if you want to up this, you can. If you want to lower it, you can, but I suggest going for like a middle ground with 5 as it gives you the greatest balance. Now, corners and free kicks are down to preference. This is similar to players in box. I just have this on 2 because I like to play the ball to some players in the box from set pieces, but I don't like to overcommit my team to the point where my opponent gets easy counter attacks. So if you want to up this or lower it, it's up to you, but I suggest having it on 2. Good rhyme there. Now, for the players you want to use, guys, I think this is very important for this formation to function correctly, and we're going to go for some things that might throw you off. So I just ask you guys to let me explain, and hopefully it makes a bit of sense for you. So, in the striker position, because this is a one-striker formation, you need to compensate for the fact there is only one striker opposed to 2. So, I've gone for Robbie Keane as he is a very balanced striker. He's got pretty much every aspect, attribute that a striker needs. So, he's got the 5-star weak foot where he can shoot on either foot. He's got great attacking stats, good shooting stats, good dribbling. He's got good pace, good physical. He's got a bit of a natural height. So, you know, it's important you go for a player which has a bit of everything in this position. You know, somebody might go for a lengthy player or an explosive player, but I think it's important to compensate for the fact there is only one striker. So I suggest going for a well-rounded striker because, again, there is only one striker and you need them to do a bit of everything. Now, the main kicker with this formation, the main difference that you guys might not have expected, is in the 2 cam positions, you don't just want to go for very attacking players because otherwise this formation will fall apart. Because if you look at the structure of this formation, we've got the 4 defenders, which are absolutely fine. We've got Patrick Vieira, and then everybody else is pretty much an attacking position, if that makes sense. So it's important that we get some natural support from the more attacking positions because otherwise this falls apart. You can't expect Patrick Vieira to lock the midfield down on his own. So if you look at the 2 cam players that I'm using, I've got Phil Foden and Park Ji-sung. Now, the main important thing about the 2 cams is that they should be very aggressive players. So a high work rate is perfect for these 2 because they're going to be attacking and they're going to be defending. Now, it's important that they obviously have some good attacking stats as they are playing in attacking positions. But if you look at Phil Foden here, he's not got the best defensive stats, but because he's got a high defensive work rate, you're not going to notice it too much. He's still going to do a good job defensively. So it's important that you get players that have decent attacking stats, but the high work rate is very important for these 2 players and for this formation to function correctly. Now, for the right mid and left mid, these are going to be your main attacking support players alongside Robbie Keane or your strikers. So you want these to be technical players. You want them to be good on the ball. You want them to have good attacking stats. So I'm just using Di Maria and Chiesa as they have good pace, good dribbling, good shooting. They're able to pass the ball and they're not too bothered about defending. So you don't have to worry about the defensive work rates of these 2 players because they're going to be mainly there for attacking support. But just go for 2 very good attacking winger style players in these positions. Now, for your fullbacks, guys, you can pretty much use whoever you want. You can use 2 defensive players, 2 attacking players, or you can do what I do where I have a bit of a balance. So I have Theo Hernandez, who is a bit better on the ball, and then I have Kyle Walker, who is a bit more defensively solid. So we have the balance between the two fullbacks. If you want to go for two defensive players, that's fine. If you want to go for two attacking players, that's fine. But I suggest going for a bit of a balance in those two. Now for the centre backs and goalkeeper, these just need to be as meta as possible. I'm pretty much just using these players for chemistry at this point. When I can be bothered to splash out some coins, I will upgrade the defence a little bit more. Now for the player instructions, guys, on the striker, I don't like to restrict him too much because it is a one striker formation, so we do need him to do a bit more than we would if he was in a two striker formation, when we can afford to have a bit more specific instructions. So all we've got on this player is stay central. Now the reason we have him on stay central is because we don't need this player drifting off to the wings. He's the only striker, so we need him to be in that position all the time. We need him to be in those good finishing positions. If we have him on mixed balance width, for example, he could drift off to the wing, and then we don't have a consistent striker in front of the goal all the time. So I do suggest stay central, but as for everything else, we just leave him alone because we don't just want him to get in behind. We might need him to help link up the play at times, to play in the wingers, which you will see in a bit. And sometimes we might want him to get in behind, other times we might want him to hold up the ball. So having it on mixed attack does allow your striker to get a lot more involved in the build-up, and then for everything else, we just leave it alone. Now for the two cams, guys, like I said, these are going to be more defensive support players because it is very necessary. Like I said, Patrick Vieira is like the only defensive midfielder position, if that makes sense. The centre mid is the only real defensive position in the midfield in this team, so it's important we do have support from the more attacking positions, otherwise again it will fall apart. So on the two cams, I actually have come back on defence. Now like I said, these two players should have a high work rate, so they're going to be attacking and they're going to be defending. So if we have them on the comeback on defense instruction, when we lose the ball, these two are going to come back to support Patrick Vieira in the midfield. So we have three midfielders that are helping to defend, as well as the four defenders. So it does make us more defensively solid. Now the reason the high work rate is very important is because when we do lose the ball, these are going to come back to defend. So we need them to do it quickly and we need them to do it effectively. So the high defensive work rate will allow us to do that. And when we attack, we do need them to push up a little bit further, so the high attacking work rate helps with the attacking transitions too. So the high work rates means they're going to be effective while we are defending and while we are attacking. So I hope that makes sense to you guys, and yeah, let's move on to the right mid and left mid. Now, if you guys remember what I said in the players to use chapter, I said these two need to be more attacking players, the right mid and left mid. They're going to be your main playmakers in this formation. So what we have on them is get into the box for cross and get in behind. Now, it's important that you guys visualize this so you know how to play with this formation. Let's say we've lost the ball, okay? These two are on get in behind and get into the box for cross. So let's say we've just been attacking. They're going to make those runs to get in behind and really go up to support Robbie Keane, and they're also on the get into the box for cross instruction, so they're going to transition from these wide positions to those narrow positions where they're in the penalty box. Now this doesn't always mean we have to play the ball to them with a cross in the box, it just means they are making those transitioning runs to get into the penalty box so they're involved in the play. So you could even play a short pass to them if you want. But let's say Di Maria and Chiesa are now next to Robbie Keane in the box because of these instructions. When we lose the ball, this is why I say it's very important to have the cams on the comeback on defense instruction and with the high work rate, because these two are going to completely commit to the attack, and then we're going to leave the entire midfield exposed. You could see it would just be Vieira on his own, right? So by having these two on comeback on defense, these two will come back and sit back a little bit deeper, so we have more midfield support, and these two, the right mid and left mid, can get away with these more aggressive instructions to join the attack. So it almost plays out like a 4-3-3 at times. So it is very effective, guys. So that's why I say these instructions and the players you use in the midfield are very important. Now for the two fullbacks, guys, because we've already got a lot of players going forward, we just have these on stay back while attacking because we don't really need them to contribute. We need these two to be as defensively sound as possible, because if we were to commit these to the attack, we'd pretty much have Vieira, Van Dijk and Varane just staying back, and that is just way too aggressive. So it's important we have stay back while attacking, so these two add defensive support, and one through ball down the wing will not kill you all the time. So we have them on stay back while attacking, but let's say you want to trigger them to go forward, you can just press the left bumper and they will join the attack. Now, I'm sorry it's took me so long to explain these custom tactics. They are a little bit different, and I wanted to make sure you guys understood the meaning between the instructions on the cam the players will use and how it works with the right mid and left mid, if that makes sense. So just to go over that one more time, these two are on comeback on defense to give us extra defensive support, to allow these two to be more attacking minded and go out of their way to get into the penalty box and things like that. But yeah, that is everything for the custom tactics and player instructions, guys. If you have enjoyed or found this useful, I'd very much appreciate it if you could drop this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.